Hey everybody, this is Mr. Horton with a series of video backup lessons for Studio Art 1, Studio Art 2, and Film Appreciation and Cinematography. Verney Arts, Iona Prep. This is Studio Art 1, which is a junior half-year art class. It would help if you downloaded the Google Classroom app because it makes submission of images to the classroom for assignments a lot easier. Grading. 70% of the grade of Studio Art 1 is from projects, 20% is classwork, and 10% is participation, conduct, and discussion. That 10% is where you get the effort you're going to put into work. So if you can't draw, or if you think you can't draw, which is a very small percentage of you guys, that's where I'm going to get that little bit of a bump of grading if you're working really hard. And I'll know if you're trying versus you're just scribbling stuff on a page. But yeah, so projects, classwork, and participation, conduct, discussion. You can listen to music while working as long as I'm not talking. Use headphones, please. Okay, submission of work. It's done via Google Classroom. You're going to do it with your cell phone. You're going to take a picture of your work. You're going to upload it to Google Classroom. Please take well-lit photos. Do not send me dark photos that are hard to read. Project order. So the first project we're going to do for our class is going to be a name tag project. This is a stereotypical first assignment project for a Studio Art 1. I want you to be as creative as possible. You're going to draw me out your first name or your last name or a middle name or a nickname. It does not have to be legible writing. It just has to be some font that you associate yourself with that is using up most of the page in your sketchbook and is colorful and is creative. We will go through this early next week when we start this project. Okay, next project after that is cartooning. I'm going to walk you guys through doing a cartooning of a superhero, doing step-by-step, kind of like a YouTube drawing tutorial. It works very math-like, so it's going to be like draw a line, draw a circle, connect them, set them together, and yada yada. After that, we will be doing wireframes of hands. So I'm going to show you how to draw hands using circles, squares, and triangles overlaid. We are then going to go into eyes, ears, head shapes, and emotions on faces. Full body wireframe standing still, and a full body wireframe in dynamic movement. Okay. The project grade for wireframe is going to be a full body wireframe application. So you are going to pick a drawing you find on the internet or a picture you find on the internet, and you are going to apply the wireframe to said drawing and draw it for me, color it in, make it look all clean, fill up the page. Okay. Next two projects after this, we're going to do 1-point perspective. We're going to do 2-point perspective. These two projects have not changed in years and years and years of art classes. These are the most math-like projects we do in all of art. 1-point perspective is linear perspective, so it's boxes going into a linear single point. And 2-point perspective is the perspective of corners of things. We will go through all this. Okay. Next up, we are going to do Marvel Entertainment history. I'm going to take you guys through 80-something years of Marvel Comics history, starting back at its onset and working all the way up to present. It's got a lot of video clips. It has a focus on how comics affected TV and film with Marvel stuff. It's a lot of fun. I don't know how exactly I'm going to grade this yet, but when we get there, we'll get there. This is going to be sometime around November that we're going to do this. Okay, we're going to do a film analysis. We're most likely going to watch Avengers Endgame for Studio Art 1. I'm going to give you a whole PowerPoint on it, and you are going to get an open note take-home quiz that is going to be graded for the movie, which is based on the slides. I'll pause periodically through the movie and talk to you guys about it, how it was made, and all this fun stuff. All right, shading scale. Value study. So I'm going to talk to you guys about how to shade with the pencils, and then you are going to do a project where you're shading in geometric shapes in a still life under a light source. It's pretty stereotypical. Color theory. We're going to go through the color wheel, and then we are going to do a project that is based on warm and cool colors. Okay. The final for this class, so for you guys, it'll be the midterm. You guys are going to draw me the cover of a video game. You're going to make up and create a graphic design image of the cover of a video game. Make up the front, make up the back. You're going to make up the little middle insert thing. Again, we'll talk all about this. It's going to be closer towards December. that we're doing this. And this is going to kind of be everything you learned in the class wrapped up together and spit back out to me. Senior art electives. The selection process for senior electives is going to happen sometime in the third quarter. I do 2 electives. My first is Studio Art 2. So that's the second level of Studio Art. It's for seniors. It's longer projects. This is the acceptance into that class is totally based on your skill level, but anyone can sign up. All right, I'll take pretty much anybody in that class. The only time I won't take you is if your drawing ability is horrendously bad, which again is percentage-wise a very small percentage of you. So it's accepted based on experience level and skill level. Film appreciation and cinematography. Now that project we do with Avengers Endgame, it is that project. It's the film analysis project blown up into 18 films across film history. It's a fun class. If you like movies, movie history stuff, if you like how they make movies and cinematography, you'll dig it a lot. This class, acceptance into it is based on how well you do on the film analysis open note take home quiz. Okay, so if you do bad on that, you're probably not going to get into that class if you want to take it. And that class fills up very quickly with the senior elective signups. All right, guys, so these are your art supplies. Now, as part of your art supplies, you were given a freezer bag, which has your name right here and your period. Now, going through all the stuff in this bag, I've got that to show you. First things first, you guys have your 24 color pencils. In this box, tans and blacks tend to be the most used for most of you guys, but the color pencils are in here. Remember, color things fully. You guys have a 12-inch ruler, which you're going to be using mostly with the name tag project, and then later on when we do perspective. Now, you guys have an eraser, generic all-purpose pink eraser, erases everything. You guys have a Sharpie. I am never going to make you guys use the Sharpie. The Sharpie is only there for my guys in this class that want to make their work a little bit more stylized and a little bit more graffiti-like, okay? Same reason with the ballpoint pen. The ballpoint pen is the same realm as the Sharpie, except the ballpoint pen is a thinner version of it. Be very careful with the pen because the pen bleeds, so the ink will bleed on the paper if you are not careful, especially if you are dragging your fingers across the paper. Now, in terms of pencils, you guys have 4 pencils. You guys have a normal number 2 pencil, which is, if you look at the end of the pencil, which let me see if I can get a good picture of this. You guys have a grade right here. Now the grade is an HB number 2. Now all pencils are on a pencil scale. The pencil scale is give or take about 20 pencils. The HB pencil is almost dead center of that scale. So it's not too dark, it is not too light, it is right in the dead center. So it's not a shading pencil, it's not a drafting pencil, again, it's right in the middle. Okay, the other 3 pencils, we have a 4H, we have a 3B, and we have a 6B. Now, in terms of the pencil scale, this is light to dark. H's, 4H, are all harder, more dense, meaning the graphite inside the pencil is denser, which means it's a drafting pencil used for sketching. The B's are more brittle. These are used for shading. Now, if you put a 6B into a sharpener, the sharpener will just keep eating it. Okay, because it's brittle enough that it's not that dense. It will just keep going through the sharpener because it's meant mostly for shading. So the 3B and the 6B, you really shouldn't be going near using these until we get to our shading project in the second quarter. Okay, you should really only be focusing on the 4H, the number 2, and an eraser, and your color pencils at this point. And then everything else is kind of optional. Like the Sharpie and pen, you can shade. If you think you have a handle on shading and you know how to blend and you want to try to do it, you can use it. I'm not going to stop you. But I'm not formally teaching you guys that till the second quarter. So these are your supplies. Now, let's go through some information on everything. Okay, so some notes on the supplies. The 4H pencil, it's light, the line is thin, but it's hard to erase on the page. The number 2 pencil, the HB, it's a mid-tone, it's easy to erase. I am never going to force you to use one or the other, number 2 or a 4H. It's going to be preferential. If you are a better artist with a really finite hand, like a good hand control on your pencil, I recommend using the 4H. because you're going to have more control. For everyone else, the number 2 is better because if you make mistakes, it's going to be easier to erase. But in general, the 4H is going to be better at detail. All right? The 3B and the 6B are shading pencils. They're dark, they smudge, and they're used for shadows. Be careful with these. Now, outlining. Now, I come from a background of drawing, American comic book drawing, Marvel and DC comic type stuff. And in American comic book drawing, the way they do things is they pencil, then they ink, then they color. So inking is a big part of my artwork. I'm not requiring you guys to ink, but if you like the concept of it, please try to do it. So I gave you guys 3 ways to outline. You have a pen, you have a Sharpie, you have a black color pencil. Now the pen, it's thin. It's glossy. So pen ink is glossy. If you shine light on it, it reflects it. But the big negative of pen ink is it bleeds. Now, when you guys draw, you guys are dragging your 2 fingers on the paper as you draw, left hand and right hand. Okay? As you do that, you might actually do that over the pen line and it will bleed it. It takes about 60 seconds for black ballpoint pen ink to dry on a piece of drawing paper. Sharpie. Sharpie's thick. It's matte, meaning it doesn't reflect light, it just kind of fades in, and it's really stylized. If you like graffiti style of drawing, or if you like 1990s style cartoon characters, or even if you like more current day stuff like Rick and Morty, a lot of those characters have a thick Sharpie outline bordering those characters against the background. So try to use the Sharpie, but be careful, the Sharpie is not good with detail. It is only good if you're drawing bigger, okay? Black color pencil, this is the safest one. It blends in with other colors really well. So you can outline, but it could also blend in. So it won't pop so much, but it still will pop something off the background without being too loud. It's easy to erase. Okay? So these are your 3 outlining things. These are your pencils. Okay? This is your shading scale. On to how to draw. All right, so here's a quick overview of your drawing process. There is no right or wrong way on how to draw anything, okay? There's many avenues to get from point A to point B. Whatever you're comfortable with doing, try to do it. Again, there's no right or wrong. So the way I would draw something, I would start out with my lightest pencil, which again is a 4H on the darkness scale, a drafting pencil. And I am going to extremely loosely just start sketching things on the page. I'm going to go back in with the number 2 pencil, and I'm going to start to just more defined edge my stuff out. I'm going to go back in with the Sharpie. At this point, I'm going to take my black ballpoint pen and I'm going to go back in again and I'm going to start edging out some stuff. And then finally, my final step here is I might go through with an eraser and I might erase out my lines. Again, there's really no right or wrong. If you have any questions about the assignment, email me or refer to the project on Google Classroom. See you in class.